Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 3, another day, another slew of awards with COGconnected and our inaugural Game of the Year awards. Although, I'm wondering if people are going to start catching on to us. I've got at least a different shirt from the first episode, but you grubby bastards haven't changed.
Oh,
We've been
times so bad.
We've been holed up in the COG bunker for weeks.
We are ripe right now.
I have a feeling people might be on to us.
Man,
People might be
man.
on to us. Come on, man. Tune into the last episode to catch up on that. But this is episode 3 of our Game of the Year awards. We've had a lot of fun already, discussing some of the best and worst moments and all sorts of neat things in games. So if you haven't watched episode 1 or 2, watch this one and then watch those other ones. You don't need to watch any of this in order. As always, I got Paul here on my right. Myself, Sean, the executive editor at COG. We got Trevor.
Hello, hello.
I love doing this. I want to record a podcast all the time because I love doing this. And to Trevor's left, the Doge.
I am the Doge.
The Doge. Dun, dun, dun.
it's like Sushi X for a new age.
So,
Bonus points if you get that reference.
obviously, if you tuned in the past couple episodes, you know that we don't like just giving away normal awards because normal awards are boring. Moving on to our schedule, if you will. I hate that word. Schedule. Who says schedule? Do you?
Aluminium.
Oh,
Do you have any vitamins?
Vitamins? For me, it's always
Tomato.
like when people actually say stuff like the roof. My dog says roof, sir. South Park has branded us. The South Park movie has branded Canadians forever. They blame us for everything.
Yeah, that darn South Park.
So moving on to today's schedule.
As usual, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, we're way off topic. Terrence and Phillip reenactment in 3, 2.
Hello, Terrence.
Hello, Philip.
I didn't think you were actually going to go there.
Okay. Wow, we're way off topic. Let's move on to the actual awards here. We've got 3 really fun awards for today. We've got the feels. We know what the feels is.
What is the feels?
The feels when it hits you, right in the gut.
That moment that
Right in
takes
the
your
gut,
breath
that-
away.
Oh my gosh.
That's the one.
Verklempt.
Verklempt that's a great word, Doge. Good work.
He's got amazing vocabulary for a dog.
Oh, you're right. We've got the letdown. That's a fairly self-explanatory category. And we've got our final category for day 3 here, the saving grace. But starting things out, we're going to go with the feels, which is the best moment or sequence in a game. Like Trevor here said, the moment that took your breath away. Just whatever really stood out for you in a game. And we've got some really cool nominees here. And this is why it's good that we all kind of speak our own answer, because a lot of us didn't play all these games, but these are all some unique moments. But all right.
Let's also preface this that we are going to probably spoil the shit out of all of these.
Yeah, so what we'll do is whoever is actually mentioning their game, we'll mention the game first before we go into it. And if you feel like skipping ahead or shutting down the volume momentarily so we don't ruin things for you, maybe do that. But let's get into our list. Quiet outguns a fighter jet, MGS5. Episode 43, MGS5. That's a double nomination for MGS5.
It is.
Avalanche, ! Tomb Raider. Emerging from Vault 111, Fallout 4. Finger gun fight, Tales from the Borderlands.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew.
Amazing.
The ending, The Witcher 3. So yeah, if you haven't played all the way through The Witcher, if somebody
We'll
picks
probably
that,
give that away.
we will tell you
We might.
The Witcher 3 go away for
if you're
a
still
moment.
busy trying to find Dandelion for like the middle 75% of the game,
Go away now. Prologue, Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah.
Cassie Cage, ball-busting fatality, MKX. End of episode 3, Life is Strange. I love how this is followed by not 1, not 2, not thrice, not 3, but 4 exclamation points. Sex on a unicorn.
Sex on a unicorn.
That moment took somebody's breath away, apparently. Somebody needed a moment.
some feels happened.
I don't know if it took their breath away or they were just out of breath when they got back. Okay, so why don't we start out this time with Trevor? You're the feels moment for 2015.
Well, Sex on a Unicorn, that has to be up there. And it's definitely up there. I mean, what other games will you ever see this again? None.
The Witcher 4, probably.
Perhaps. Backed by popular demand. Yeah, that one's definitely right up there. As
The unicorn is bringing sexy back.
Yeah, that goes right up there with some of the best moments of 2015. Yeah, Quiet outgunning the fighter jet was definitely a really cool sequence. I mean, is she absolutely stunning or what?
People really do appreciate Quiet. People really, really like her.
The finger fight in Tales from the Borderlands is that was amazing too, and is something I'll never forget. But the number one thing that gave me, I feel like I felt it when it was happening. But when Cassie Cage does her ball-busting fatality, I have never seen anything more brutally devastating than a blow like that. That is that.
That's a feel.
But that it took my breath away. so that's my moment of the year.
I could see how that would do that for you. What about you, Doge?
Well, first of all of these are excellent choices. I mean, we've got the finger gun fight, which was awesome.
Can we again?
Pew 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 pew. And Cassie Cage's fatality, I mean, that was an amazing moment that was emasculating in all the best ways, I think, for people.
There's a great way to be emasculated? Hold up now.
In all the best ways, of course, if there are any good ways. Sex on a Unicorn, I thought, was a really bold choice by those game makers. Never has a unicorn been used so creatively in a story, and that was actually logistically very dangerous if you think about that too. I mean, they were taking some chances having sex on a unicorn there. So
This coming from a four-legged creature.
right?
I just can't help but laugh at how we are literally dissecting this moment.
The mechanics.
I mean, they fit two people. Logistically, that was just really, like I said, a huge moment. But I would say, in all seriousness, the best moment for me this year, and with due respect to Ori and the Blind Forest, that in the early part of that, I couldn't believe how fast that made me feel. Feelings. I hadn't been playing for more than 5 or 10 minutes, and already I was like, wow, this game is really able to kind of push my buttons.
It hit you.
But you know what? Despite all that, and I know it's the easy choice, but for me, it was emerging from Vault 111 and Fallout 4.
Oh.
It was like I'm back in the place that I let's face it, I'm ashamed to say I probably lived in the wasteland for about a full summer. So
Dogmeat, is that you?
Yeah, Dogmeat, you're back. And we licked each other for a while, Dogmeat and I. He sniffed me in places I really didn't want him to, but after all that,
Dogs know no shame, right?
right?
That's how you make friends.
I had to put
after
him
all.
in it. Yeah.
That's how they say hello.
So, but after all that was over, I was so glad to be back in the wasteland and see the light, the cold rays of that irradiated sun burning my skin. It was just awesome.
It was definitely a huge standout moment. I've really been wrestling, with these nominees. And again, I'll just point out that a lot of really, really great choices. I don't need to really harp too much more on Sex on a Unicorn, other than the fact that that's awesome. That's great. I've contemplated. I'm not ashamed to say I've actually trolled the internet looking for giant stuffed unicorns.
Life-size unicorns.
Yeah, and apparently they're very hard to come by. So that fantasy is gonna have to lay for a while.
I think
and
they're
Dare to
extinct
Dream.
now, right?
Dare to dream, right? Yeah, exactly. So
unicorns are extinct, aren't they? I think now, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think the last one was shot like a couple years ago or something. So it's a shame, but couple moments that stood out for me. Okay, if you haven't played all the way through, or if you're thinking about playing through Life is Strange, this was a huge moment for me. It's a story that really gets you invested in their characters, and obviously because of the style of game it is with the episodic content, it's 100% story driven. So if you're not feeling it, you're going to walk away. So they're already doing a really good job of keeping you in there with the story alone. But the ending of episode 3, when you see the new Chloe, the choices that you have made take your best friend, and again, spoiler, turn the volume down. Take your best friend that you've reestablished this great relationship with, and you're trying to bring back her father and everything else, and you've brought her father back, but she's in a wheelchair and she's like a quadriplegic, and you go, holy shit! Like my heart stopped, and I actually went back thinking like there were other choices that I could make. There were other choices that I could make and change it, and you couldn't, and that just like. Ugh, everything was sucked out of me because you didn't know where the story was going to go after that, and as well, Avalanche in Tomb Raider.
That was amazing.
Oh my god,
Loved it.
It was one of the few moments in gaming this year where I actually kind of felt the hair on my arm stand up, because it's that visceral feeling of like, oh my god, what am I going to do? And that's why we play games. I mean, we play to have that feeling with your heart rate to increase and your palms to get sweaty and everything else. And the Avalanche scene, just like, oh, holy crap. And I got really, really excited playing that game. And it's not just because of Lara and Camilla and her fabulous voice.
Camilla.
Yeah, and her wonderful voice. I mean, just the whole scene overall was super
Sultry.
Fantastic. But my final choice, so I got to go back to, God, I'm picking this game a lot. I almost feel like I didn't play any other games this year, but it's just so good. End of episode 3, the new Chloe, absolutely almost stopped me from breathing.
Wow.
Paul.
I like what you said there, Sean, on both of those things. The Avalanche scene in Tomb Raider, games do this a lot where you have this guided sequence. And a lot of the time you just feel like you're going through the motions. But when I was playing Tomb Raider for the very first time, I really felt that tension that's been missing in all those sequences for years and years and years, because it's just so overdone. But the Avalanche actually felt tense, and that's why I think it's an honorable mention for this category. Life is Strange had a ton of moments that just gut checked me.
Absolutely.
One of those being the end of episode 3. The other being
The end?
the ending of the game, where you have to make a very substantial choice. I'm not gonna spoil that.
Let's not spoil that one,
because it's reasonably new. But I think, and again, I seem to be picking this an awful lot. I'm gonna go with episode 43 from Metal Gear Solid 5. Big Boss must cleanse the mother base of the infection by killing his own men. The way they frame it is, it's quite unique, and you really feel like the boss, who's been mostly silent for the game, is really struggling with this. And the follow-up to that sequence, when Kiefer says,
I won't scatter your sorrow to the heartless sea.
Wow.
it's deep,
That
man.
just gave me the feels.
Yeah, right there. There's
I'm having some feels right now.
When that happened, I really had the feels. So I got to go with that.
That's a solid group
that
of
is solid.
Yeah.
I mean, any one of these. I mean, as silly as it is too, though. Like we mentioned the finger gun fight, as silly as it is, but that was a fun moment too.
Yeah.
I mean, so it doesn't necessarily always have to mean like a gut check, but like these are all really solid choices and some fun ones. The Emerging from Vault 111, I gotta agree with the Doge on that one too. That was an awesome moment for me. It wasn't obviously not my number one, but man. That the sunlight hitting your eyes for the first time, and you're like, "Holy crap, we're back!"
Yeah.
That was such a
Holy
good feel.
crap, there's volumetric lighting in there.
So, a category that probably doesn't need a lot of explanation. It's pretty self-explanatory. Would be the letdown. Although there might, I don't know. I mean, looking at there might be some controversial choices here in the nominees. So let me quickly go over those, and I'm going to throw it over to Paul first to give us his choice. So for the letdown, biggest letdown of the year, Fallout 4, Star Wars Battlefront, Halo 5. Man, there was a lot of hype on that one. To see it on the letdown list, that hurts. Evolve, Rainbow Six, another really hyped game that a lot of people were disappointed by. And man, you had to know that this game was going to be on the list. I left it last for a reason here, just because, man, I got some things to say. Oh, I got some things to say. But, yeah, The Order, 1886 on the letdown list. Paul?
There were a lot of letdowns this year. One of those, in a way, I think, is Fallout 4.
What?
Come
Blasphemy.
on, man.
Why dare
Come on,
you?
man.
And let me tell you why I think this. It's a great game.
Absolutely.
It's a massive, fully realized world. The characters are great. It's packed full of stuff to do.
But
It's just Fallout 3, guys. Really,
Well,
it
it's
is.
Fallout 3 with settlements.
But, you know, they shined up the textures a bit and they made the gunplay better. Sure, there are lots of improvements, but the core gameplay, it's not however many years ago Fallout 3 came out, it's not that many years better.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
it is
I
a good
think-
argument. You are doing a lot of the exact same things.
I think in a lot of ways the quest system in Skyrim was more advanced than it is in this game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that argument.
there's a huge fan base there, though. I mean, do you want to alienate them by completely blowing up the formula, or
No, I don't think so.
Hard-hitting questions.
But I think it's little things that bug me. Like you go into VATS, and the kill cams, they're still broken.
But VATS is different. It doesn't completely pause.
Yeah,
It moves in bullet time.
Yeah.
What
right.
sort of changes do you want?
Well, okay, fine. Here, let's change. Okay, we'll go to a different letdown. No, that wasn't.
He's like,
that wasn't,
oh shit, I am clearly outnumbered right now.
that wasn't actually my letdown.
Ring the town bell, get the noose.
Because I've got another honorable mention, and that is Evolve. Because that game should have been great, and it really sucks.
Yeah.
no?
I mean,
talk
I did.
about it.
I'll admit I didn't play that one, but it was on the map and it
came and
disappeared
went.
just as quick.
Yeah.
It came and went.
And
Yep.
you know why it came and went? It's because you spent a lot of time just running.
Yeah.
Because, it's the asymmetric thing where one guy is the monster,
Monster and Hunter,
or
right?
one player is the monster, and the rest of the team, if your team isn't perfectly synced and they're not working together perfectly,
So
you spend
never.
the entire time just chasing the monster around because they're way faster.
Yeah.
And it's just not fun. So that was a big letdown for me. But most of all, Battlefront. Battlefront.
Well, you did the review, so you got into it more than anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. It's fun to a point. But there's just not enough content there. There's not enough progression to justify your time past about 10 hours. And that's really sad because I think if they had just remade, basically, the old Battlefront games, you would have had a much better experience.
But that's what the $50 season pass is for.
Yeah. I didn't mention this when we were talking about, come on, man. But there's actually a tile on the main screen of the game that says buy the season pass. It's like game, season pass. Here's where the rest of the game is. We decided to just sell it to you again.
Piecemeal, selling the game piecemeal, right?
Yeah, Battlefront is my biggest letdown.
Yeah, and that's a valid argument too. Made the whole selling the game piecemeal. That's a disappointment, no doubt. It's funny. The game didn't let me down. I mean, in that I was probably one of the few people that liked it. I mean, for my reasons, but the order. And the reason for me it's on the biggest letdown is like, despite the fact that I enjoyed it, I just expected everybody to enjoy it. I expected that, I mean, we're talking about a studio. We're talking about Ready at Dawn, an experienced studio who'd never really had a flop, right? And everybody expected them to come to the table with just an absolute barn burner, right? Yep. I do think a little bit that the order kind of fell victim a little bit to like the pre-buzz, because before the game was even released, before the media, before us as an outlet, we got our hands on the game and everything else, the decision was already made. The forums, everything was just rife with people shitting all over it, and they hadn't even touched it yet. There can be a hive mind, I find, with the media, and
Totally.
that once something, a large group of the media decide something, everybody kind of follows suit, and almost like you're afraid to follow
outlier.
suit or to stand out from the crowd. But that's the beauty about embargoes, right? I mean, we released our review at embargo. I loved it. I think I gave it like an 86. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed
In
it.
1886?
I didn't do that on purpose, but
Hey-o.
but I'm expecting them. I quickly flip over to Metacritic. We published our review, and I'm like, "Hey, where's it at?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like the highest goddamn review. They are shitting all over this. Like it's the worst thing ever, right? But I mean, for me, again, not a personal letdown because I enjoyed it, but a letdown that it was a wasted opportunity for like a really great experience and a cool story is probably never going to get. It's never going to get finished now. It's not going to progress anymore because I doubt that Sony's going to want to hand over another bundle of cash to see a sequel to a game that just received piss poor reviews and nobody liked it.
Yeah.
So that to me is a letdown.
Yeah.
Trev?
My letdown of the year, Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, I have been waiting for a Rainbow game for what seems like an eternity, and I played all the other Rainbow games and loved them. That would be the thing to do. We would play Rainbow, and I loved it. I loved the single player. I loved the multiplayer. I loved everything about it. So when Siege came out, which was a mediocre at best,
If we're being honest.
tactical shooter with no single player experience, with a few game types, with maybe 11 maps out of the box, I was just so disappointed. And for me, that's the biggest letdown. I wanted that magic from the previous, or how about just the magic from Rainbow Six Vegas to come back, and it didn't. And I
how
still
about
wait.
the fact that, they don't like the idea that some people like to play with themselves. Or by themselves. Sorry. Is that a slip of the tongue?
I was like, look, what game are we talking about?
No, but I mean, there are. I mean, Rainbow isn't the only game that's forgone single player experience. And I mean, as focused as we are on multiplayer, because it's fun to play with your friends, obviously. But I mean, sometimes, there's a few of us that just don't play well with others. That's another story for another day. Doge, take it away.
Well, I just want to say I can definitely see what people are saying about the Order this year being a big disappointment. I just think everybody was expecting it to just be so good, and the early graphics looked so amazing, and this just was gonna
so pretty,
right? This was gonna be just the take games to the next level, and it was gonna be the first big blockbuster of the new generation and all that kind of stuff. And in the end, it was just a good game. You know what I mean? And I think, so it wasn't a bad game, but I just think it just fell so far short of what this crazy expectation that people had for it. So I can understand why that would be considered a letdown. I have to say, for me, this is weird for me to say because I love Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is a great game. It's possibly the best game of the year. I mean, we'll talk about that, but you can make that argument. But it's also a big letdown. And I can see that as well. It is a letdown. It was a letdown for me when I first started to play, to find out that it was so much more of the same, that it didn't kind of do anything new, and it didn't take the series in a kind of a new direction or any steps forward.
Innovation. It lacked innovation.
Lacked innovation. And I would also say the story is a bit disappointing. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people just say, screw it, I'm not going to even try to find my son for a long time. I'm just going to go and do some random stuff. They also lost, I don't think anybody's really mentioned the fact, too, that they lost a little bit of the satire, the satirical bite that Fallout 3 had. It was a satire on the kind of the nuclear age and our kind of ridiculous optimism and confidence in technology and all that kind of stuff. There were satirical elements in the story in the Wasteland in Fallout 3.
And it's more a serious tone.
This one is like, it actually, there's no irony to it. You know what I mean? So I cared a bit less about that. And I felt like I was just in the Wasteland in a first-person shooter instead of kind of getting off on this satirical story as well.
Right.
So it is a big letdown in a lot of ways. Despite that, it's still an amazing game that I'm having lots of fun in.
Yeah.
But
it's possible to be let down by something but still like it overall.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain aspects of it that didn't quite live up to your expectations, right?
Yeah.
On the topic of Fallout satire, I did find a teddy bear sitting on a toilet reading a newspaper.
So that's good.
That stuff is still there, but it's definitely less prominent than it was.
Yeah.
You'd find some really crazy stuff in Fallout 3.
Well, and it's little things like there was no opening music by the Ink Spots this time. That kind of stuff. There was even the fact that you don't spend a whole lot of time in the vault itself.
No Ron Perlman.
Yeah, there was little things like that took away from the atmosphere for me a little bit.
Right. Yeah, no, that's those are all very good reasons to piss all over Fallout 4, even though it's an amazing game.
Yeah.
Moving on to our final category for episode 3 is the saving grace, which is the best surprise. The game that kind of we weren't expecting something about it that we went, wow, this kind of came out of nowhere and kind of blew us away. And there's some.
This one's tough.
This is tough, but you know what I like about it
So
is
many.
that every last one of these games is, I'm looking at it, everyone's an indie. It's an independent developer on every one of them.
Yep, they are.
That's a hard-working developers. I love being able to do topics.
Wait.
Fallout Shelter.
One of them's Bethesda.
Yeah.
They're not
shit!
really
I didn't really. Yeah, well,
indie.
you're right. We got Fallout Shelter on here, so I will correct myself. I didn't notice that on the list here. But all right, let's get through this. We got Rocket League, Psyonix,
Yes.
Rocket League, Cities Skylines. We got Life is Strange ×2. That means 2 of us nominated it. That means some people liked that game. God, we keep talking about it. Undertale, badass game.
Mm-hmm.
Hacknet, what a unique game that one is. Fallout Shelter, Galaxy, little sci-fi 70s anime shoot 'em up
Asteroids
action thing. Pew pew. and Soma, a little bit of underwater fear action going on there.
Yeah.
Those are some really, really, really cool games, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All very cool games.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
very cool. Why don't we let the Doge start out on this one?
Well, first of all, Soma shouldn't be on this list, I think, in the sense that, I think a lot of people expected that to be good when they heard some of the hype about it when it was being in development. It was an awesome game and a great game. For me, the best surprises this year, Life is Strange. Life is Strange, to me, totally came out of nowhere. And just by pure word of mouth, I think a lot of people started to find out. Now everybody has heard of it, but I think it was word of mouth. And that's always a testament to a great game. And once you play this, you realize just why. Undertale is an amazing little, I don't know if you call it 8-bit or 16-bit. 8-bit, I think. Is it?
Yeah, it's like 12 bits.
Okay,
There's some bits in there.
And if anybody hasn't played that is a crazy game that does all kinds of strange, new, crazy things, and it's never dull. I couldn't believe some of the weird things you have to do in that game. Like there's a part in the game where you just walk for a long time, and it's just to show your trust and in being able to keep walking without giving up.
Yeah.
And there's you.
I think I can. I think I can.
You don't fight in the game. You call this guy, a bodyguard, on a cell phone to come and save you. Like, it's just a crazy
Sounds like
game.
my life.
That came out of nowhere for me. Hacknet is a really cool game, and kind of challenges what we think of as a game and a genre kind of defying.
I've always wanted to be an elite member of Anonymous.
Yeah.
So, Hacknet's about the closest I can get
It's a
because
great
I would be a shitty hacker.
Anonymous sim, yeah. But the big one for me this year had to be Rocket League. I don't think anybody saw this one coming. I think it came out in the summer, and everybody just kind of discovered it all at once. And there was this amazing moment when everybody just kind of played it all at once like that, and everybody was just going crazy about it. And it was because it was so fun. It's just so simple, and it just boils video games down into their purest, most fun element. And you've got Rocket League. And I don't think anybody expected it.
No, it definitely came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
everybody, if you played it, you loved it.
And
hands
Rocket
down.
League is a great example of the power of free games through PS Plus.
Totally.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of people picked it up through that. And now, I just read this the other day, Rocket League has made $50 million.
Amazing.
on their DLC. And
Even, having given it away to so many people, they
Yeah.
still made $50 million on
Amazing.
Wow.
a tiny little budget.
Wow.
So
I don't know if this is a game or a threat. Keep talking and no one explodes. No, I have a feeling I know who edited that in, so I'm going to throw it over to Paul to talk about his saving grace, his best surprise this year.
I did. It's not actually my best surprise of the year, but I did just remember it, and I think it's worth mentioning. Keep Talking and No One Explodes is an asymmetrical game in which one player looks at a bomb on a computer screen, and everyone else looks at a paper manual and tries to tell them how to defuse it. This is an amazing party game.
I haven't played this, and I'll admit this is the first time I've heard of it.
It's
and
unreal. It is so much fun.
It sounds intense too.
It is. It's crazy because you're like, oh my God, there's like red wires and there's a black wire, and they're like, how many red wires? And you're like, 2 red wires, and they cut the black wire. Are you sure? Cut the black wire.
I don't want to cut the.
It might explode.
And there's a timer, and there's like an alarm that starts going off, and the lights turn out. It's great. It's a good time.
That's
So if you've ever wanted to be a what do they call, like an on-site bomb technician? What do they call
Yes.
those? Like what? Like
Yeah,
what's his
on-site
tits?
bomb technician.
yeah,
That's exactly what they call them.
Yeah.
That's a technical. Okay, so that wasn't your choice though.
Anyways,
what is your
that-
Well,
saving
I was
grace?
going to say that title I think they're trying to make that into a VR title too, which would make it even more crazy.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
that'd be interesting.
With Oculus Touch, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. I got to echo a lot of things that Doge was saying, because Undertale is just the strangest thing. It's short, but it's sweet. I mean,
there's a lot of things in life that are
you
short
can-
and sweet worth mentioning. So,
Oh.
well, I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying
You
it's a
know
good
what?
choice.
that's a conversation for later.
It's a good choice.
For our After Dark podcast.
The COGconnected After Dark.
But Undertale, I mean, like, what other game can you name that lets you spare your enemies? You literally do not have to kill an enemy in that game.
That's some
if you
bullshit.
don't want to.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
But you can talk
Who
every
lets-
enemy down.
Have you ever let an enemy go?
Sounds like communism.
Maybe.
That's bullshit.
But and Rocket League, obviously, that's an incredible game. A lot of fun for. It's one of those games that really makes you think, okay, just one more. Just one more
Yeah.
round. And then
Yeah.
it's 5 a.m. and you're like, one more round. But I think I've got to give it to Life is Strange, because that came out of nowhere and it's an unbelievable experience.
And is that just me too? I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I mean, we're 3 episodes in here, and we have talked this game up countless times. Is this an example of a game that kind of, like you say, I mean, not only did the story start as a bit of a slow burn, but the success of the game started as a bit of a slow
Yeah.
burn. And you mentioned word of mouth.
Yeah.
People were talking about it. I mean, and that's a testament for sure to exactly how good this game is, because if someone has played it and you mention it to them, it's pretty much a universal response of, holy shit, this game.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it is one of those games that really tests the line between art form and game, because there's not a lot of action. There's not even a ton of puzzle solving. You're just really working your way through a personal story, making some, really tough choices.
Really tough.
Right. I think that's a really, really great choice. And I mean, I've picked Life is Strange too many times already. Not that I wouldn't pick it again, but the best surprise for me, I got to go with the Doge on Rocket League. I mean, and you made a great point. It's one of those classic, and you don't see this a lot anymore. It's one of those classic one more game games. One more round, one more goal, and when you get paired up, especially if you got a good buddy that you're paired up with and you guys are just dominating, the fun does not end with that game. And it's a palm sweaty, cheering, high-fiving, heart rate pump, experience. And no one saw it coming. Nobody saw that coming.
No.
And Rocket League is unique too, because you're driving a car and yet it feels more like soccer than any soccer video game I've played.
Yeah.
The actual act of playing the game feels like playing soccer.
Yep.
Because you have to communicate. Somebody's got to be on defense. Somebody's got to cover the goal. You got to make like a nice pass line for somebody to pass you the ball.
Yeah.
It's the first soccer game I ever made a header. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trev.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on Rocket League. It's definitely the biggest surprise for me by far. It's amazing what an indie game can do, and Rocket League is a great example of that. And it's one that where I could just watch, and I can't think of many games I could just sit there and watch. But this one I can just watch.
I've spectated.
And it's entertaining as all hell.
I've spectated.
So, Fallout Shelter is definitely a big surprise for me. I love this little app. I mean, it did eventually get a little bit old for me, and I lost interest. But I mean, when it came out right when you were at the Bethesda E3 press conference, I was playing this Fallout Shelter game, and I loved it. And but it's not my biggest surprise. Rocket League gets my biggest surprise of the year.
I think that's that's another universal decision, which we haven't had many of, which,
No, I picked Life is Strange.
oh, hey, whoa, wait, hey, look, Paul
Mostly.
picked Life is Strange.
Paul picked Life is Strange.
It's like, what about
There we
Paul? Guys.
I am here, right?
I'm here, guys. No, but that's I'll admit, I tossed up between Rocket League and Life is Strange,
Yep.
but
There's not a bad choice on this
No.
list.
no, absolutely. Actually,
Hacknet is
I
a
think
killer cool
Hacknet
game.
probably deserves a little.
This is tough.
I think that flew under a lot of people's radar, and I don't think very many people picked it up.
No.
But it's unique. It's kind of text based. I mean, if you've ever had dreams of being a hacker, it's a neat way of looking at it. It's a fun game. When we get together again, and like in a few minutes in our same clothes.
We're lie.
We're gonna tackle 3 more categories for episode 4: the storyteller, the exclusive. Wow, that one's about as self-explanatory as ever. Oh, and this one, the worst. That's different than the biggest letdown.
Yep.
The
This
worst.
is just
this is
the
a steaming
worst.
pile
That-
of
yeah.
dog shit.
That is our
Hey,
toilet
hey,
bowl
hey.
award.
Which isn't necessarily,
Yeah.
which is also different
Hey.
from the Skid Row tire fire. So
Hey,
that's
dog feces can taste okay sometimes. I mean, you got to try it before you.
You
can
know-
walk,
And it's
okay?
good for the garden.
the
I mean,
funny thing is, Doge, is I have a Doge of my very own, and I watch her out the window.
I've watched her sometimes.
When
too.
she, hey-o!
The circle of life.
This
if
is
you
the
will.
worst way to end an episode ever.
Let's get out of here right now.
We're talking about eating
that's,
dog shit. So
Where's the hook?
if we haven't lost you and you still want to come back for episode 4, we're going to look at the storyteller, the exclusive, and the worst. All right, come back tomorrow and we'll continue. Thanks
Peace
for watching,
out.
guys. Peace out.
See you tomorrow.
Ciao.